If there is a secret to it, I mean, it's just make sure the writing's good. If it's not on the page, it's not on the stage. That's one of the traditional values that we have. Always play up to the audience. That's just a sort of a cardinal rule. When we leave the show, the last episode was he was going to go off and be with Laura Linney in Chicago.
Cheers is a sitcom so iconic that it became synonymous with friendship, laughter, and camaraderie.
Cheers is filmed before a live studio audience.
From its quirky, lovable characters to its razor-sharp, witty humor, the show represented the golden age of television, captivating audiences worldwide.
Welcome back from that very first episode to the last. Cheers was a TV staple in homes all across the country and really all around the world.
But behind the jovial atmosphere on screen, the cast of Cheers reportedly endured its share of drama, tension, and personal struggles. Kelsey Grammer, one of the show's most beloved and enduring stars, is finally breaking his silence about a controversial co-star. Who is this mysterious, controversial actor, and what really happened behind the scenes? Join us as we uncover more. Was there a most hated co-star? Cheers was not just another sitcom, it was a cultural phenomenon. Running from 1982 to 1993, it brought viewers into the cozy atmosphere of a Boston bar, where everybody knows your name. The show tackled everything from romantic entanglements to witty banter, thanks to its stellar cast: Ted Danson, Shelley Long, Rhea Perlman, Kirstie Alley, Woody Harrelson, and of course, Kelsey Grammer, who played Dr. Frasier Crane.
Kelsey Grammer, who's marking 40 years since he first started playing Dr. Frasier Crane.
However, as much as the show is remembered for its humor and heart, it's equally remembered for the alleged tensions among its cast members, and Kelsey Grammer has come forward to share his story. Kelsey Grammer. Grammer joined Cheers in Season 3, portraying Dr. Frasier Crane, a character who initially had a short arc but quickly became a fan favorite. He was supposed to appear for only 6 episodes, but ended up as a regular cast member. Grammer's portrayal of the pompous yet endearing psychiatrist was so impactful that it led to the spin-off Frasier, which became an even bigger success. That's not all. It turns out that Kelsey Grammer's life during his Cheers years wasn't as smooth as his character's witty one-liners. From personal struggles to navigating the dynamics of an ensemble cast, Grammer's journey was far from easy. One of the most talked-about dynamics on the Cheers set involved Shelley Long, who played Diane Chambers. Long was the original female lead, and her chemistry with Ted Danson's Sam Malone was a cornerstone of the show's early seasons. However, rumors of Shelley being difficult to work with circulated almost from the beginning. Critics and fans often describe her acting style as methodical and meticulous, which occasionally clashed with the more laid-back approach of her co-stars. Numerous accounts from crew members, writers, and other actors paint a picture of a toxic work environment. Frequent arguments, retakes, and missed cues disrupted the filming process. One particularly infamous incident involved a heated dispute over a scene where Diane Chambers was to deliver a lengthy monologue. Shelley Long insisted on numerous retakes, infuriating her co-stars and the director.
There were always rumors that there was so much friction between Shelley Long and the cast.
Long's relationship with her co-stars, especially with Kelsey Grammer, was complex. On one hand, Long's dedication to her craft was evident. She was deeply invested in her role as Diane, often working hard to perfect her performances. On the other hand, her methodical and perfectionist approach reportedly caused friction with her fellow cast members, many of whom had a more improvisational and laid-back approach to the work. While Long and Grammer shared many memorable scenes as Diane and Frasier, Their working relationship was fraught with tension. According to crew members, the two had vastly different approaches to their craft. Long's meticulousness often clashed with Grammer's. Kelsey had this natural comedic timing. He'd read a line once, and it would be perfect. Shelley, on the other hand, would dissect the script for hours, looking for ways to make it better. It created friction, especially when they were paired together in a scene. This friction was amplified by the growing popularity of Frasier Crane. As Grammer's character gained more screen time and storylines, it disrupted the show's original dynamic, which had centered heavily on Sam and Diane. For Long, this shift was not just a professional adjustment, but a personal one as well. It was even rumored that the producers decided to extend Kelsey's role to annoy Long. By the time Season 4 rolled around, the tension between Shelley Long and the rest of the cast had become rigid. According to multiple accounts, Long would often isolate herself during breaks, choosing to stay in character rather than socialize with her co-stars. In an interview with one of the producers, Grammer mentioned that there was one time during a table read when Shelley stopped everything to argue about a single line of dialogue. It went on for 15 minutes, and you could see the frustration building in the room. Kelsey, in particular, looked like he wanted to walk out. Rumors of Shelley Long's diva-like behavior persisted, including demands for special treatment, extravagant dressing rooms, and constant script changes. These demands often clashed with the show's tight production schedule, leading to further tension and resentment among the cast and crew. You won't believe what happened next. Long left the show after Season 5, a move that shocked fans and fueled speculation about her relationships with the cast. But the story doesn't end with Shelley Long. After her departure, Kirstie Alley joined the cast as Rebecca Howe.
Alley joined the cast of Cheers in its 6th season and stayed on for 6 more.
Kirstie brought a completely different energy to the show. Where Shelley's Diane was intellectual and romantic, Kirstie's Rebecca was ambitious and comedic. Fans quickly embraced her, and she earned accolades, including an Emmy and a Golden Globe. Shelley Long's perfectionism earned her both admirers and detractors among her colleagues. Rhea Perlman, who played the fiery Carla Tortelli, once described Long as challenging, though she also acknowledged her talent. In an exclusive interview, she admitted that Shelley cared deeply about the show, and she respected that. But there were days when it felt like she was doing a different job than the rest of them. Comedy is about timing, and sometimes her approach slowed things down, she added. George Wendt and John Ratzenberger, who played bar regulars Norm and Cliff, were more diplomatic. In interviews, they've described Long as professional, but admitted that her intensity could be draining at times. Kelsey Grammer has often been diplomatic when discussing Shelley Long. In interviews, he's acknowledged her talent and her significant contributions to the show. But he has also hinted that her departure created a more relaxed environment on set. He said there were days when Shelley drove him up the wall, but looking back, he has now realized it came from a place of genuine passion. She wanted the show to be the best it could be, and sometimes that rubbed people the wrong way, himself included. While Grammer hasn't directly labeled Shelley as the most hated co-star, his comments suggest that working with her wasn't always easy. For instance, in one interview, Grammer mentioned that Long had her own way of doing things, and that her departure allowed the remaining cast to explore new dynamics. This has raised questions from fans and critics alike. Was Shelley Long's perfectionism misunderstood, or did it genuinely create tension on set? It is very likely that the strained relationship between Kelsey Grammer and Shelley Long had a significant impact on the dynamics of the show. the on-screen chemistry between Frasier Crane and Diane Chambers, which was initially one of the show's main draws, became increasingly strained as the real-life tension between the actors possibly spilled over into their performances.
Ed Danson, John Ratzenberger, and George Wendt, and director Jimmy Burrows sat down with a legend in his own time, Harry Smith. Good morning.
What a blast.
Shelley Long's departure from the show also had a profound impact on the storylines. In fact, Long herself admitted in later interviews that the departure from Cheers was one of the hardest career decisions she had made. And yet, her exit paved the way for a significant shift in the show's dynamic, and ultimately gave rise to a new era for Cheers. Additionally, the departure of Diane Chambers created a void in the cast that was difficult to fill. The writers were forced to adjust the narrative to accommodate her absence, which led to some criticism from fans who felt that the show had lost its spark. Kelsey Grammer has consistently avoided labeling anyone as the most hated Cheers co-star, saying that he's more focused on celebrating the show's legacy and the friendships he's maintained with his co-stars. In one interview, Grammer reflected on the challenges of working in an ensemble cast and said that when you're part of something as big as Cheers, there are bound to be moments of tension. What makes this story even more compelling is the way the Cheers cast has evolved over the years. Despite their differences, many of the actors have maintained friendships and even reunited for special events. For example, Ted Danson appeared in an episode of Frasier, showcasing the enduring connection between the two shows. Similarly, Grammer has expressed interest in collaborating with his former co-stars again, including Shelley Long, and Ted Danson, particularly as he embarks on a revival of Frasier. The Stars and Legacy of Cheers Inside Story. Over its 11-season run, the series became one of the most successful sitcoms in television history, earning 28 Emmy Awards.
But one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, winner of 28 Emmys, was set here in the most iconic bar in television history. Cheers!
After premiering in 1982, it was nearly canceled during its first season when it ranked almost last in ratings for its premiere. However, Cheers eventually became a Nielsen ratings juggernaut in the United States, earning a top 10 rating during 8 of its 11 seasons, including one season, which was season 9, at number 1. The show spent most of its run on NBC's Thursday night must-see TV lineup. Widely watched, its series finale in 1993 became the most-watched single TV episode of the 1990s, and the show's 275 episodes have been successfully syndicated worldwide. Nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series for all 11 of its seasons on the air, it earned 28 Primetime Emmy Awards from a record of 117 nominations. During its run, Cheers became one of the most popular series in history and received critical acclaim from its start to its end, and is frequently cited as one of the greatest television shows of all time. In 1997, the episodes Thanksgiving Orphans and Home is the Sailor, aired originally in 1987, were respectively ranked number 7 and number 45 on TV Guide's 100 Greatest Episodes of All Time. Its series finale was watched by an estimated 93 million viewers, almost 40% of the U.S. population at the time. The series also produced 3 spin-offs: The Tortellas, Wings, and Frasier, and a Spanish remake. Grammer had such a successful career both in the main show and the spin-off Frasier. He also directed more than 30 episodes and sang the closing theme Tossed Salads and Scrambled Eggs. In 2001, he negotiated a $700,000 per episode salary for Frasier. The show was nominated for, and won, numerous awards during its 11-year run, concluding in May 2004. The show met instant success and received 5 Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Comedy Series.
Nominees for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series are Kelsey Grammer.
This record has never been broken, with Modern Family tying the record. Grammer also received 10 Primetime Emmy Award nominations for his role in Frasier, winning 4 times, tying him with Carol O'Connor, Michael J. Fox, and Jim Parsons for the most wins for Primetime Emmy Award for Best Actor in a Comedy Series. Frasier lasted 11 seasons, making it one of the most successful spin-offs in TV history. Shelley Long was an academic, sophisticated graduate student attending Boston University in the movie. However, Shelley would often challenge the writers during table reads. She'd say things like, "Diane wouldn't say that," or "This scene doesn't feel authentic." It wasn't that she was trying to be difficult, she just cared so much about the show. But this level of intensity sometimes put her at odds with her co-stars, who approached the material with a more relaxed attitude. Ted Danson, for instance, was known for his easygoing demeanor and willingness to go with the flow. Rhea Perlman brought a natural comedic energy to her role as Carla, and George Wendt and John Ratzenberger provided light-hearted humor without overanalyzing their performances. The first 2 seasons of Cheers revolved around the romantic tension between Ted Danson's Sam Malone, a smooth-talking ex-baseball player turned bartender, and Shelley Long's Diane Chambers, the intellectual waitress who found herself reluctantly working at the bar after a failed relationship. Their on-screen chemistry was electric, and the will-they-won't-they dynamic captivated audiences. But off-screen, things were not always as harmonious. It gets more interesting. When Kelsey Grammer joined the cast in the 3rd season, he was stepping into an already established family. The core cast had spent 2 years bonding, developing a rhythm both on and off set. As the new guy, he had to find his place in this tightly knit group. And while some welcomed him with open arms, others were less accommodating. In one interview, when he was asked how he felt joining the show in Season 3, he described it and said that walking onto that set felt like walking into a family gathering where you're not quite sure if you're welcome. Everyone had their roles, their routines, and he was just the new guy. It wasn't easy. Grammer's addition to the cast wasn't initially met with open arms. While some cast members welcomed him, others, particularly Shelley Long, reportedly struggled to adapt to his character's growing importance and how it affected her role, and even the previous dynamic of the show, which was probably the reason she left.
That there was so much friction between Shelley Long and the cast.
Yeah.
That had to be was that true?
There was, there was a little, but, she left and then we had Kirstie and life moved on.
Grammer's admission paints a picture of a cast navigating the pressures of success, clashing personalities, and the constant grind of producing a hit television show, The Apology and Reconciliation. Now, let's talk about Ted Danson, who played Sam Malone, the leading man of Cheers. A bartender and proprietor of Cheers, Sam is also a Lothario. Before the series began, he was a baseball relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, nicknamed Mayday Malone, until he became an alcoholic, harming his career. He has an on-again, off-again relationship with Diane Chambers, his class opposite, in the first 5 seasons, which aired from 1982 to 1987. During their off times, Sam has flings with many not-so-bright women, yet fails to pursue a meaningful relationship. After Diane is written out of the series, he tries to pursue Rebecca Howe, with varying results. At the end of the series, he is still unmarried and faces his addiction with the help of Dr. Robert Sutton's, Gilbert Lewis, group meetings, advised by Frasier. Danson's portrayal of Sam Malone made him a household name, but his relationship with Grammer wasn't always smooth. While both actors had professional respect for each other, there were moments of tension, especially in the earlier seasons. Danson, the show's lead, was initially unsure about how Frasier would fit into the existing ensemble. In fact, Grammer's character, Frasier, was introduced as a foil to Sam Malone's carefree, womanizing bartender persona. In many ways, Frasier's intellectual snobbery clashed with Sam's more laid-back, everyman attitude. Early on, there were reports of minor conflicts between Grammer and Danson, partly because of the challenges of balancing these two strong-willed personalities on screen. But as the show progressed, so did their professional relationship. Grammer and Danson began to develop a mutual respect for one another, and their interactions became more friendly and collaborative. The tension that initially existed between them gradually dissolved, culminating in a powerful moment of reconciliation years later. In one interview, Danson admitted that, at the time, he didn't fully understand Grammer's method of working or his character's potential. However, as time went on, he came to appreciate Grammer's dedication and commitment to his craft. Danson later issued a public apology for not maintaining a closer relationship during their Cheers years, and Grammer accepted the apology with grace. In fact, Grammer noted that their relationship had always been one of mutual respect, and the minor professional friction they experienced never overshadowed the deep bond they would eventually form. This evolution of their relationship speaks to the complexities of working with talented individuals. It also highlights the way in which public personalities can sometimes get in the way of personal connections, something that is common in Hollywood, but particularly noticeable on a show as iconic as Cheers. During the 8th season of Cheers, Grammer made a deal with former Cheers producers David Angel, Peter Casey, and David Lee, who were moving on to produce Wings, that they would do a new series together once Cheers ended. Once it became clear during the 10th season that the 11th would be the last, the group began working on their next series together. Grammer did not originally want to continue playing Frasier Crane, and Angel, Casey, and Lee did not want the new show to be compared to Cheers, which they had worked on before Wings. The three proposed that the actor play a wealthy, Malcolm Forbes-like paraplegic publisher who operated his business from his apartment. The main show featured a street-smart Hispanic live-in nurse who would clash with the main character. While Grammer liked the concept, Paramount Television disliked it and suggested that the best route would be to spin off the Frasier Crane character. Grammer ultimately agreed to star in a Cheers spin-off, but the producers set the new show as far from Boston as possible to prevent NBC from demanding that other characters from the old show make guest appearances on the new show during its first season. The creators did not want Frasier in private practice, which would make the show resemble The Bob Newhart Show. From an unused idea they had for a Cheers episode, they conceived the concept of the psychiatrist working in a radio station surrounded by wacky, yet lovable characters. After realizing that such a setting was reminiscent of WKRP in Cincinnati,
weather today in the greater Cincinnati area. I love you so bad.
The creators decided to emphasize Frasier's home life, which Cheers had rarely explored. Lee considered his own experience with the relationship between an aging father and the grown-up son he never understood, and thought it would be a good theme for Frasier. Although Frasier had mentioned on Cheers in 2 episodes that his father, a research scientist, had died. Angel, Casey, and Lee did not realize this was the case, as they were not working on Cheers during the season those 2 episodes were filmed. The creative team was already well into the development process when Grammer pointed out the discontinuity. They decided to overlook it initially retconning the character's backstory. In a second season episode, the discrepancy was resolved, as Frasier revealed he had lied to the Cheers gang about his father. One element of the original concept that was carried over was the live-in healthcare provider for Frasier's father. Grammer points out that very little of the Frasier crane of Cheers carried over to Frasier, as his family history was changed, though this was later adjusted. The setting, his job, and even the character himself changed from the Cheers predecessor, having to be more grounded as the central character of the show, so the other supporting characters could be more eccentric. Fans of Cheers have long been fascinated by the behind-the-scenes drama of the show. Numerous fan theories and speculations have emerged over the years, ranging from the mundane to the outlandish. Some fans have even suggested that the tension between Kelsey Grammer and Shelley Long was a deliberate ploy to generate publicity for the show. While it's impossible to know the full truth about the relationship between the two actors, fan theories and speculations continue to fuel interest in the show and its legacy. This brings us to a broader question. Do creative tensions make for better television, or do they leave scars that never heal? In the case of Cheers, it seems to be a bit of both. The show's success was undoubtedly driven by the chemistry and talent of its cast, but that same intensity may have contributed to the challenges they faced off-screen. It's a reminder that even in the world of sitcoms, where everything looks perfect, the reality is often far more complicated. The idea of a most hated co-star on Cheers is more a product of media speculation than direct statements from the cast. Shelley Long's exacting standards may have created friction, but her contributions to the show were undeniable. Meanwhile, Kirstie Alley's arrival marked a new chapter for Cheers, with a different dynamic that was equally beloved by fans. Kelsey Grammer, for his part, has been diplomatic, focusing on the positive aspects of his co-stars while acknowledging the occasional tension. His reflections serve as a reminder that workplace dynamics are rarely black and white. As we reflect on Kelsey Grammer's journey, it's clear that his time on Cheers was both a blessing and a challenge. From navigating on-set tensions to dealing with personal struggles, Grammer's experience offers valuable insights into the complexities of fame and friendship. And while the question of the most hated co-star may never have a definitive answer, what remains undeniable is the impact of Cheers on television history. Despite any behind-the-scenes drama, Cheers remains a masterpiece of television. The show's ability to blend humor with heartfelt moments created a legacy that endures to this day. And for Kelsey Grammer, Cheers was the launching pad for a career that would see him become one of TV's most iconic actors. As fans, we can only speculate about what truly happened behind the scenes. But one thing is certain: the magic of Cheers wouldn't have been possible without the unique talents and personalities of its cast. Do you think there really was a most hated cast member? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Also, click the following video on your screen. You will enjoy it.